Hello, everyone, and welcome to another ICF LinkedIn Live. As you know, we always bring fascinating leaders, people to our conversation. And today I'm just thrilled to welcome John Mattone. Very good to have you here, John.
Magda, it's an honor. Great to be here with you and the ICF family. It's just a great honor. Thank you.
John, as I was looking forward to this conversation, I had a little difficulty figuring out how to best introduce you because you've done so many things and there are almost, five or six personas to John, right? So I will try my best. I will try my best. Here we go. Best-selling author, the world's top executive coach, and the co-founder of five, I think by that time, exceptional coaching and leadership development companies. So best-selling author. I think 10 books, right, John? 10 books.
10 books. Yeah. Thank you.
You're also the co-founder of Intelligent Leadership Coaching International and several other organizations. You received 14 registered IP trademarks, which is quite amazing. Recognized by global gurus, recognized by Thinkers 50, quoted often in different magazines, speaker at the most significant stages, including World Economic Forum, and then a husband, a father, a grandfather. So who is John Mattone?
Well, first of all, that's just a wonderful introduction, Magda. I am somebody who is very proud of the professional accomplishments. I'm much more proud of my personal accomplishments. At the top of the list, I've been married to my incredible wife, Gail, for 45 years. We met in high school. And I've been blessed, absolutely blessed, to have somebody like Gail who is a role model, pillar of our family. We've raised four incredible adults now and 7 grandchildren. I think that's probably the best definition of who I am, is answering it from that standpoint, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah, I think I can attest to it because just a year ago, right, we saw each other in Dubai, and you turned around to be present for the arrival of your grandchild, right?
That's exactly right. Exactly right. Thank you so much. Yes.
So definitely a family man you are. And I read the history of your family, and it's quite astonishing of, first of all, how successful the family became and how I think the family ties really made it possible, right? Family loyalty is probably not a good word, but family togetherness.
Yeah, again, very, very lucky. The Mattone family from Italy, and hardworking. I think a lot, intellect was part of it, but more than anything else, as I've looked at, I guess my dad, my parents, and uncles, and my cousins, I think the thread is hard work, and just resilience, Magda, But so I'm very fortunate, very fortunate.
Resilience is something that we hear a lot lately, right? Probably. So it was present a long time ago. It was needed a long time ago. But I think especially during the time of the pandemic, we started talking more about resilient leader, resilience in organizational sense as well. So I know that you work with the top CEOs of major companies. How do you see? Is it a shift, or is it just more emphasis on resilience in leadership?
It's a great question. I think we're in the most disruptive times ever, and I really believe that it's not gonna let up. And I really honestly believe, Magda, that our ability to handle disruption, and it is going to be intense, and it's been intense. Really, I think the pandemic was one of the big disruptors of our time. Our ability to handle disruption is in direct proportion to our disruptive thinking. So, you've got to be nimble. You got to be agile around the stuff that we've talked about before. You've got to be learning agile. You've got to be hungry to learn. You've got to be really, really nimble around change. And you've got to have the agility around relationships. To me, that's probably a pretty good definition of maturity. And so when I work with top executives and government leaders, it's very interesting. You would think that embedded in their souls is the very definition of what we talked about. But in fact, everybody needs the ability to grow in these areas. And you can't, if you can't embody these very elements, very, very difficult to lead people around you and lead your family, for example, right? So resilience is critical now. It's going to be even more critical as time goes on.
Yeah, I was thinking about the resilience and also you before you became a coach yourself and leading coaching practices, you were in the corporate world as well.
That's right.
So I guess you can speak from firsthand experience about those challenges and opportunities in business, and as you said about embodying the different traits and skills of leadership. I guess it all starts with self-awareness first. Would you say?
It does. When I talk about the inner core of the soul as being absolutely predictive of everything that we experience in terms of behaviors from other people. And that's true in our families, in our communities, in our nations, in our organizations. And there's a predictive, there's an algorithm. And I really believe that if you've got a strong inner core, self-concept, self-awareness, strong character, impeccable value system, your thinking patterns are strong, mature, and vibrant. Your emotional base is strong, mature, and vibrant. You increase the probability of having really positive flow to the outer core, which is the behaviors.
Right.
And it's interesting that, and again, I'm talking about CEOs, there's a lot of accomplished people that I've worked with. It's very humbling to have this opportunity. But truth be told, there's still a lot of room for improvement in this arena called self-awareness. And you really can't grow as a person. And how do you actually grow others unless you've got that self-awareness?
Yeah, it is amazing. It is amazing, and it is well. That's why we're talking about coaching, right?
Yeah.
Because we often say that coaching, and we just don't say that. We know that from research that coaching is probably the best modality to bring that self-awareness and to help grow around that. Do you see that in your work as well?
Massive. I think it's absolutely. ICF has done the studies too. I believe in the next 15 to 20 years, everybody is. Well, maybe not everybody, but most people are going to have a coach. That's this is where we're going. And to your point, how do you actually unlock yourself and really unleash all your capability unless you can be surrounded by, you need perspective from a coach and mentors and people who can give you, here's how we see you, so I think that's the future of coaching and that's obviously really good for everybody listening. Obviously, we've got some great opportunities here, and I believe around executive coaching that we do have a massive leadership gap, Magda. It's
right.
It's massive, and we have a little tagline, John Mattone Global. We want to change the world. And that's what change the world, one leader, one organization at a time. It's what gets me out of bed every day. I'm 67, but I'm motivated every day to make a difference. And I believe that, coaches can create dissonance. That's an important thing, that you got to create discrepancies in your client's mind about how they see themselves versus how others see them. That's one dissonance area. But I think the biggest dissonance opportunity is getting people connected with their core purpose. If you can help somebody get much more concrete around answering the biggest questions that we can ask our clients around, what's the masterpiece that you would put on the earth to create? Most people can't answer that question. So if we can help them see that masterpiece, that creates the ultimate dissonance, and that's the igniter to growth. It's kind of interesting. It really is.
And also we see it right in the research around younger generations, that purpose is so much more important to them than more tangible, if you will, benefits of them working or them contributing to the overarching societal good. So and you mentioned the gap in leadership. There was a research by Human Capital Institute, I want to say, several years back.
Yeah.
Because of the retirement of baby boomers in the States and in other, we see younger people stepping into people manager positions, and that research indicated that they are very unprepared for those roles, and the gap is even up to 6 years. 6 years of leaders unprepared to lead.
And ultimately, especially, it's a good point. In the United States in particular, what are we doing to accelerate the development of the young talent? In the Middle East too, I do quite a bit of work in the Middle East, and there is so much young talent all over the world, but in particular, I see the Middle East. You've got 30, 35-year-old people having key minister roles.
Right.
This, you can't just walk in. It's impossible. So I think we have a challenge to, and this is where coaches can play a pivotal role in accelerating the development of this massive young talent that we need to cultivate. We've got to cultivate these people and put them in positions where they can ignite the souls of other human beings and develop them.
Yeah. So you've created this unique approach, intelligent leadership. So please tell our viewers a little bit more about it.
Yeah. So I've written some books, and I think intelligent leadership probably got its start, Magda, in 2013. So I launched my firm in 2012, at 55 years old. And I had rewritten a book that I had written in 1996 called Success Yourself. That was a failure. We don't want to talk about that one, but I knew there was some good stuff in the book, so I rewrote it with more experience and more research. Okay, and that book actually became a bestseller, and that got intelligent leadership going. So we created a philosophy and a process. I think it is unique, and tools. You mentioned the registered trademarks, and so we have a lot embedded in all of this is this notion of, if we really want to help leaders and future leaders become the best that they can be, it is about heart, mind, and soul. It's about heart, mind, and soul. And the pandemic, actually, you think back on just, you talk about resilience, how really we reflect on that, how tough the human spirit is, all that we went through all over the world. And by and large, we survived. We got through it. So the human soul is really, really strong. We have no shortage of intellect in the world, right? IQs that are really, really high, but yet we struggle to embody the very elements of leadership. And so I would say intelligent leadership, the definition has evolved.
Mhm.
I'm not even sure I even wrote about it in the book in 2013. And then I wrote another book called The Intelligent Leader in 2019, and I started to sprinkle in the elements of what we now know as intelligent leadership.
Mhm.
The definition would be it's a transformative process, and it's also really results oriented around what can we do to ignite, cultivate, and polish heart, mind, and soul in support of creating an incredible leadership and cultural capability in an organization. That's the definition.
Mhm.
Um,
So, when we talk about transformation, and that's also in a mission of ICF, right,
yes.
coaching being integral to transforming societies, um, it's sometimes it's almost, I wouldn't call it maybe a polarity, but an interesting conversation because we know that nothing happens without that leader. And yet it will take us a long time
Yeah.
if we just relied on individuals rather than taking more systemic and holistic approach.
I agree.
So how do you see it? Uh, be, because this is my personal opinion. Disruption is not necessarily bad. Disruption could be a great opportunity. We saw it. We saw it during the pandemic, as terrible as it was.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
much acceleration, so much creative thinking, and the need for accelerating the speed of change is really tremendous. So, how can we approach and how coaching can support that societal transformation in more holistic or systemic way? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it's a couple of things, and it's an excellent point. I also believe that transformation has the potential to be incredibly positive.
Mm,
The potential. Um, you think about organizations out there that divest resources. They're active in merger and acquisition, investment, and all of those things are strategies to disrupt, be transformative, all in support of driving higher revenues and EBITDA and all of that stuff. But what ends up happening is, I think, through if you acquire a company, whatever that transformation imperative is, it involves people and teams. And we love comfort zones. Human beings love comfort zones, and if you get stuck there, you die,
yeah.
period. And it doesn't matter if you're a human being, a family, a company, and we're all going to die, and every company's going to die eventually.
Mm,
It doesn't matter how big the company is, whatever. So what I think we can do as coaches is we can ready leaders and teams to be as nimble as possible
mhm,
around some of those things that we actually started with, which is around just being nimble with respect to learning and being really hungry to learn. Also nimble around change and also relationships, and to have a belief ultimately and embrace that belief in the depths of your soul that you see transformation as yielding the potential for the results being much more positive. And this, Magda, because obviously you lead a massive organization in the work that you do. Ultimately, just because people think or they say to you, "Yeah, I'm going to follow you," or the team says, "I'm going to follow you," does not necessarily mean it's going to happen.
right,
And this is where I think coaches can help. It comes down to belief. To what extent? Because belief's the igniter to taking action,
right.
right? And if you're a really good coach, you can get individuals and teams into that zone where there's a collective belief that we can execute what needs to be executed. You know what I'm saying? In support of the vision,
Right.
We will execute, and we must execute. When you've got belief in those three, I call them leading indicators, you know what happens? People
Magic
perform.
happens.
Magic, and then you got the team who
Right.
performs. So it's a great question, and we have a big role as coaches,
Yeah.
to help individuals and teams get into that zone.
Right. So another very fast-growing trend that we observe is that many organizations invest in their leaders and managers not to become full-fledged coaches, because we know that there are several aspects of coaching relationship that are not frankly possible in a manager-employee relation.
Yeah,
But those managers and leaders to use coaching skills or coaching approach in their managerial skills, which is interesting again because now we see 5, in some cases 7 generations in the same organization. And I think sometimes this coaching approach may raise some brows in some maybe more seasoned
yes,
employees, and the youngsters may be very happy about it, or a little puzzled as well, because this is not how their parents treated them. So how do you think that intelligent leadership can support working in very, very generational teams?
yeah, it's a great question. So intelligent leadership sort of operates in a parallel universe to how organizations operate effectively. So if you think of International Coaching Federation, you've got a vision, mission, purpose statement. And that's fantastic. But we all know for the organization to be successful, that vision needs to be operationalized, correct?
Absolutely.
So what ends up happening, and this is true ICF or any organization in the world, any, you got to retranslate it into a strategy. And then you need to create systems, and you got to create roles and so on and so forth, and teams and structure to be able to actually make it happen. And then there needs to be passion, right, and skills to execute, and then be vigilant, kind of measure results, right, and then course correct, and so on and so forth. Every organization in the world operates like that. Lo and behold, it doesn't matter what generation we're in. I really believe, and this is where I think intelligent leadership is resonating, humbly said, all over the world, because when we talk about intelligent leadership and what can benefit the organization, is that every leader, in fact, every human being in a business needs to optimize their universe, which again is parallel. So think about this. So every leader we wake up every single day and we execute a strategy, right? We go about our jobs, but if it's not connected to an ultimate purpose and a vision, something's lacking. And if your vision is not aligned with the organization's vision, something's lacking. You see what I'm saying? So, if you're dealing with multiple generations, it doesn't matter what role, you need to show up every single day. You need to be concrete in your mind about the masterpiece that you were put on the earth to create. What is it? Most people can't answer that question.
Right.
Number one. Number two, you've got to have a strategy that's co-created with your coach around what are the gifts and strengths that I bring in support of our vision, mission, purpose, and also what's holding me back or could hold me back in the future. And that's where a coach comes in. And then the coach comes in, and we're gonna co-discover, we're gonna co-create, right? And we're going to stay in partnership with our client around as they execute, and so on and so forth. So that's my answer. I think that intelligent leadership can absolutely operate in this parallel universe. And think about this. How do you optimize the aggregate International Coaching Federation organization unless every human being in international coaching is optimized. How do you optimize this unless this is optimized?
Sure, sure. And we also know about change management, right? It's
Yes,
leadership, it's information, and it's resistance. Either that you make it or you break it. That's
exactly.
sure, exactly. So you talk, John. You talk about 4 A's:
Yes.
altruism, affiliation, achievement, and abundance. And you call them for game-changing outcomes. Can you tell us a little bit more how you came to discover those 4 A's, and why you think they are so critical for the success of person's business and life?
Yeah, that's a great question. Really, my thinking on this has really evolved. So, I was ignited many, many years ago, and it just kind of hit me that not only are the outcomes, Magda, but they also represent values in the
Mm,
soul. And when you think about it, if you really want to make a mark in the world, the value of altruism is just a wonderful value to embody. Care for others, concern, heart, the courage to show your heart to people authentically is absolutely critical. More today, post pandemic,
mm,
and as we look forward. And if you're a leader, and leader could be a family leader, like a parent, if you're not cultivating and role modeling altruism, um, you're not going to optimize results in your family or your business. Altruism is a beautiful value. And when you think about the results of altruism, it leads to treating people with rapport and trust and credibility. We need much more of that. We got to amp that up. Affiliation is about relationships, and it is, yes, a value, but it's also an outcome. And again, same thing in our families. And then achievement is that you've got to pursue things, not towards money, and a lot of people get stuck on, if I'm a successful coach, I make a lot of money. Well, it's not about the money at all. It's about just doing good work and you know, living your calling and making sure that you're enriching souls, in your work, right? Worthy achievement, worthy. It will lead to other things, right?
mm, mm.
And ultimately, it's about abundance. And abundance is, again, at the end of the day, have you positively touched the hearts, minds, and souls of other people? It's not about you, And so I think the 4 A's, if you embody them as values, you're going to see the outgrowth of that in behaviors that are positive to the world.
Thank you for that. As always, we're coming close to our time. So I would like to close our conversation, John, with asking you about this quote from Einstein. Why is it one of your favorite ones? The one about, we cannot solve the problems of today with the thinking that we had when we created those problems.
Yes.
So why did you choose that as one of your favorite quotes?
Yeah, and it really kind of reinforces a lot of our discussion here today, Magda, about, we get caught in these circular discussions, and you gotta break through. You gotta disrupt patterns.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to grow, if you're going to learn, if you're going to create new patterns that have the potential to bring even greater abundance to the world, most people get stuck because, thoughts control emotions, emotions behavior, behavior results. And you've got to reflect and you got to review every single day, and you got to rewind, and you've got to ask yourself, what kind of results am I getting, and my team getting, my family getting? And typically it'll come back to maybe the thinking patterns that I'm using are the same ones I've used
Yeah.
and you got the only way you're going to disrupt that is a new belief, and so that's why I love that. That's really, to me, a good definition of the work that we do as coaches.
Yeah. Yeah, this quote reminded me of our common friend Marshall Goldsmith.
Sure.
What gets you there won't get you right.
Absolutely.
It's and I had have a colleague, a professional friend who often says today's solution is tomorrow's problem.
Yeah.
And there's something to it, right? Because we develop solutions based on what we know now, and then
Exactly.
the environment around us changes. And I think that this is why I hope and believe that coaching will be here to stay and will be more and more needed, useful, understood, and applied.
The future's bright, Magda, and thank you for your leadership. You're remarkable in the work that you do, the leadership that you bring, and what a wonderful family that's been created called the International Coaching Federation. We're so honored to have, I guess now 11 programs that have been approved by ICF, and thank you. We love we love being part of the ICF family.
Thank you so much for being a part of ICF family. We love to have, of course, the quality programs being part of the large and growing ICF family.
Yes, absolutely.
So, John, thank you so very much for joining us today. Thank you for all the work you're doing and your organizations are doing, and wishing everybody a great day. Inviting you to our next months. And again, John, thank you so much for being here today.
My honor, Magda. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. Take care of yourself. Thank you.